Let's change the scenario a little bit. Who said this is a $100 microphone? Who said this is a $100 microphone? Oh.
I'm just trying to get my time back.
Okay. Would you buy this for 20?
Possibly.
Work. Yeah. Two $10 bills. Your microphone?
That's fair.
Why do I get the extra 10? I'm sorry? No, I'm the guy that borrowed $10 and then pay him back.
Put it together.
How much is Joe entitled to? $10. How much did the sale bring? $20. How much does Joe get? $10. It's my microphone. Now, suppose the sale only brought $5. You just bought yourself a $100 microphone for $5. Your collateral is gone. So, there's two documents here. Joe had a mortgage against my microphone. What happened to that mortgage against my microphone? The mortgage is the right to take a piece of property and sell it. He did that. So what happens to the mortgage? It's gone. Now Joe gets to go into court and say, Judge, I loaned Segatti $10. He gave me a lien in his microphone, and he didn't pay. So I foreclosed on the microphone, but I only got $5. So the judge then gives Joe a judgment for the $5, and now he's got to chase him for the difference. The lender has the right to chase the difference. They may or may not. Okay, here's the foreclosure process. Can you all see that? Okay. This here represents the beginning of the foreclosure process. That represents the beginning of the foreclosure process. That's when the bank or the lender has finally said, this person is 1, 2, 3 months behind, you send them some letters. Hold on, guys. Wait, pass it out in a second. Let me go over this. Maybe okay, thanks. So the bank says, all right, start the foreclosure process. Now, one of the first things the bank has to do in the foreclosure process is declare an acceleration. Now, if you borrow $100,000 and you get to pay it back in the form of $1,000 a month, if you miss 3 payments, how many payments do you owe the bank? Well, consider something. If you miss, I don't need to write this out. If you miss January, February, and March's payment of $1,000, January, February, March, and it's March 15th, are you entitled to April's payment? It's March. Can you get April's payment? This shouldn't be that tough. If you miss, if it's March 15th, and you haven't paid January, February, March, do you owe April? No.
Not yet.
Why do you owe April when it's March?
Well, you owe all of them. That's what we're thinking by your question.
Why would you owe it?
What's that?
Why would you owe it?
Why would you owe it? Thank you. If it's March, do you owe April?
No.
That's why you have an acceleration clause in the note, which says you get to repay this in the form of monthly payments. However, if you don't pay back, then the debt accelerates and you've got to pay it all. And going back 100 years ago, there are court cases where they did not have an acceleration clause. And the individual tried to foreclose, and the court only let them foreclose on the installments that had come due. You couldn't foreclose on the installments that were yet to come due. That's why there's an acceleration clause. So, in this timeline, the first thing that happens is the bank declares an acceleration. No more of this $1,000 a month stuff. We want it all. Then they conduct the foreclosure sale. The foreclosure sale consists of 4 weeks of advertising. And that's what you were talking about in the legal news. The legal news publishes once a week the foreclosure. And it has to be for 4 consecutive weeks. This property is going to be foreclosed. Then what happens is this represents the actual day of the foreclosure sale. So the person losing their home no longer owns it. It is now owned by whoever bought it at the foreclosure sale. Typically that's the bank. Now, the person who owns it now has no right of possession. Has everyone heard the expression, possession is 9/10 of the law? What's the other 1/10? What's that? No, I think that's the 1/11. No, I heard someone say it over here. Ownership, yeah. So, I mean, think of it this way. If you own a piece of property and you rent it out, who has the right of possession? The tenant, as long as they pay the rent. You, as the owner, do not have the right of possession. The same scenario in the foreclosure process. The person who lost the property has the right of possession. The person who bought it at the foreclosure sale has ownership. And that will continue, for purposes of our conversation, we're going to say 6 months. It varies a little bit, but we're going to say 6 months. Now, what happens, can you see that? Okay, good. Now, what happens then is, the person who lost it gets to live there rent-free for 6 months. They also have the right to buy it back. To buy it back, they have to pay whatever the person who bought it at the foreclosure sale paid, plus interest. And if they buy it back within the 6 months, they get to keep their house. They bought it back. Now, it's also possible that the person could buy it back and immediately sell it, which might enter the investment. You come in, you buy it from the person, that gives them the money to buy it from the person who bought it at the foreclosure sale, and then you can complete the transaction. Right? Yeah. That's the timeline of this.
After the 6-month redemption period comes
The people are physically removed by the court.
eviction.
Yes. Yeah. Right, this caret mark represents the sale. The sale is conducted by the Sheriff's Department Civil Division in the county where the property is located. Keep something in mind, there's many types of foreclosures. There's an IRS foreclosure, there's a tax lien foreclosure, there's a mechanics lien foreclosure, there's a land contract vendor's foreclosure. There's probably a couple more I can't think of off the top of my head, but I got it. Okay? I want to cover just the mortgage foreclosure process tonight because they're all pretty similar, just difference in procedure.
Isn't it true that usually at the sheriff's sale, the bidder, the high bidder, or sometimes the only bidder is the lender themselves, number one?
Yes.
And number two, actually I'm working on a foreclosure situation right now where the borrower passed away. A couple of their kids are living in the house right now. There's equity in the house, but nobody's paying the payments. Working with the executor. And the house is worth probably $50,000 more than the mortgage. If it were to go all the way to foreclosure, does the estate get any excess if they sell it for more?
Great questions. You got lots of. Okay. There's actually 2 sales that are possible. In the foreclosure scenario, there is a sale here. Remember when Joe was trying to sell that microphone for $100? And all I got was 10? Okay? Now, then there's a 6-month period in which the person can buy it back.
That's the right of redemption period?
That's the right of redemption. Now, if the redemption period expires, whoever bought it at the foreclosure sale, this person here, can then sell it, and whatever they sell it for is all theirs.